Man, man, we're live. We're live. It's been a while since I've been live. It's an awesome time to be live right now, man. There's a lot going on right now. Um, a lot of unhappy people. A lot of weird things going on in the country. Unemployment pushing 40 million. You know, the painstaking video of having to see, the Minneapolis police force cold-bloodedly murder George Floyd. You know, the expectation for people to just be passive aggressive. The government like passive aggressive. That doesn't cause change. It doesn't change doesn't happen that way. Power doesn't relinquish that way. Um, why are people rioting? Why are people rioting? One of the reasons why you see so many people rioting is because they have their own agenda. There's a lot more people at home. There's a lot more people who have the time to do it. The people have the power back. I made a couple of videos back, speaking about how the people have the power back and haven't had the power back in a long time. The people have the power back. The people are unhappy with the government. They're unhappy with their work situations, and there's a lot of pent up frustration. This was the George Floyd situation, as heartfelt as it is. The timing. The timing was the timing was just there. Why are people riding? That's the question. Why are people riding? And by any means necessary is what's happening. And it's weird to me how you can. It's weird. I'll tell you something. Here's something. We have a problem with looking at the truth and accepting the truth for what it is. We have this cognitive dissonance, is what's the textual term. It's called cognitive dissonance. Is when something or an action can take place in front of you so horrific and so bad that you act like that action only happened for a lesser reason, or that action didn't really happen for the reason that it happened, or the action isn't really taking place at all. You know, cognitive dissonance. We've become a country where we just can't accept the truth. We can't live our life in truth. Racism and America are hand in hand. There is no America without racism, and we act like that's just not the truth, right? A guy was cold-bloodedly murdered right on national TV in front of everybody, right? On social media in front of everybody. And somehow now the rioting has taken place of the murder. Like the rioting is bad, as if the rioting is worse than the actual murder itself. That's just silly. That's just silly, right? That's just silly. I've seen Facebook posts of individuals that say things like, why can't they use words like they? Why can't they peacefully protest? Well, that's just silly. First of all, you're part of the problem. By the way, by the way, that's part of that cognitive dissonance and part of that honesty that America, white America, has specifically swept under the rug and and would not like that light shine on that. Um, yeah, it does seem like like the reason why they don't talk about the murder of George Floyd, because it shines a mirror onto America. It makes America have to look at itself in the mirror, and it's just so much easier to try to cover up the murder for the rioting, right? Right. It's so much easier to just cover up the murder and just start shining the camera on the rioting, right? You want to forget about that. You want to forget about that. And that's unfortunately been the situation for the last 4 or 5 murders. They've been killing black people that way, the same way this boy died, month after month. This situation, I do mean we as black people has been dealing with this situation. Police department, the enforcement arm of racism. The police department has always been racism, even back in the Jim Crow law days. You know, so that's the unfortunate truth too. That's another truth that America like to sweep up under the rug and act like is not true. Um, and it does show that the priorities are warped. It's a warping of the priorities, right? So why the rioting? Let's get back to the original question. Why the rioting? Well, the rioting originally started. If you remember, the rioting originally started. You had millions of people watch this man, this family individual, this family man, this loving, caring human, this friend, this father, this brother, this son, killed on social media, unwarranted death, the same unwarranted death that that most of them has been. You watch that loss of life, and then the police officer is nothing more than fired. And that same playbook, that rigmarole, that same playbook that that the system used to try to make the people forget about it, start to go into effect. And the people just wasn't having it. We, the people, were not having it. And instead of just marching peacefully, doing the things that have caused nothing, no justice, cops getting 1 year probation, 2 years for taking lives are just unacceptable. It's unacceptable at this point. And a lot of the reason why the rioting actually happening right now is like it goes back to the people having time to do it. You have the unemployment. There's nothing to lose at this point. You ain't gonna lose your job because you don't have a job, right? You're not gonna lose your employment because you don't have employment right now. So you don't have to worry about that boss going onto your social media page and then scrutinizing you and putting you on blast, um, for work purposes, right? So now you know that you have the power and you're just speaking your opinion, and you just and you're embracing your own opinion uh, because you're not under the threat of losing your work. So there's a lot of people who've had these pent up opinions for a long time, that wanted to voice those opinions, and now they're getting the outlet and the opportunity to do so. Um, so so you see that horrific action take place, and you realize that you should do something. The reason why tyrannical governments exist and the way tyrannical governments take place and tyrants come to power is when good people stand by and say nothing. Tyrannical governments take place and tyrannical people stand power is when good people stand on the sideline and act like nothing ever happened or they just didn't see it. So it's time for more good people to stand up, step up, and be the voice, um, and be the voice. Of course, social media and the news stations aren't gonna agree, you know, because they still receive paychecks and they're still catering to the big machine, right? That big machine is corporatocracy or technocracy or whatever you want to call it, or oligarchy. that's still, they still control social media, so they kind of give that agenda down how they want, and they're gonna, you know, the bad guy is going to be whoever they want to be the bad guy, which is normally not the truth, right? Um, any questions out there, man? Yeah, but let me touch on a couple of items. One is now the people have the power back. I remember I mentioned that in a past video. Now the people have the power back. What I meant by the people having the power back is uh, one of the few times in history people have the power to um, to think. You have the time to think. You have the time to be creative, and I believe that the system want us to believe. The system teaches us that when employment is really high, that the people have the power. I think that's actually incorrect. And think about what I'm saying. I think that's actually incorrect. I think when unemployment is most highest, which has only happened a couple of times in our history, which was in the 30s or 1929 and through the 30s, and then I think in 2008 and 9, and then today, which is 2020. These are the few times in our history, our known history, that may happen in '89 too, in our known history that the people had the power back, and and that's scary for governments. The governments want everyone to be terrified of employment or losing their job, or terrified of having a voice. So we have our power back, we have our voice back, and I think we're starting to use it and we're starting to wield it. It doesn't take long for us to, and we're like cats, cats become feral real quick, once they're out in the wilderness. So we're starting to realize that once you have that power, you use that power. Now, I heard about things like Antifa is part of the group that's out riding, and I've seen on social media sites where Antifa members or potential Antifa members were just going around and just doing, you know, unthinkable acts of crime that just enhances, the authoritative violence. Like, for example, I've seen on YouTube from I've seen on YouTube a YouTube video where this white male and most of the individuals out riding right now are white males too, white people in general. So I seen this white male just walking with a hammer and an umbrella, and he's busting the windows in the AutoZone. And then this black pizza guy catches him, follows him, and he asks the pizza guy, "Are you the cops?" And the pizza guy told him, "No, I ain't the cops," but basically, you know, letting this guy know that he's watching him, and the guy try to scare you off. So real interesting video. So, but of course, even when those kind of individuals are out, those are the ones that are doing the criminal acts and whatnot. They're still going to blame it on the black people that are involved. And the worst part about it is that's part of that untruth that America has had. And that's part of that truth that we just don't like to look at. That yeah, that's just part of that lie that we like to live by. You can see the acts that the white guy out busting the windows, but you'll blame it on the black guy when you see the black guy. It's just horrific, man. It's real bad, real bad. But I don't know. It's good to do a live video on this and just throw out some opinions and some ideas out there. I think the people are getting the opportunity to really voice their opinion, and that's a great thing for the country. If you want change, you got to enforce change. You got to see change happen all the way through. I think that the peaceful marching was just, there was very limited change that came out of it. So, you know, it's not a bad avenue to give a shot to. Talking about revolutions, this is how revolutions happen. This is how revolutions happen. And we could be in the beginning, and we could be seeing the revolution happen right before our eyes. So, perfect. Perfect. Just my opinion, just a rant.